Hello and welcome back to oNiD. We're here for round 7 of the British oNiD4 series on iRacing here at the wonderful Brands Hatch circuit, running the full Grand Prix layout. Joining me as always and directing us through all of tonight's action is the wonderful Aidan Hard. How are you doing, Aidan?
First time sounds going to be wonderful for a while. Thank you very much. No, it's all good. Many other objectives have been used. But, penultimate round here. Indeed, and what a circuit it is. At Brands Hatch circuit, the full GP circuit. A lot of interesting corners, 9 of them to be precise, instead of the usual 4. I had to think there for a minute.
4 or 5
4
that
or
you get
5.
with the Indy circuit, which of course
Indeed.
we were at earlier this season, back at all the way back in round 2. It may have been the same season, but as about 5 weeks ago now, and we had a different tire model back then. So it'll be something just to make this weekend a little bit more different than that Indy circuit round back in the second round, and it'll be interesting for the drivers. Yes, Paddock Hill Bend, Druids, Graham Hill Bend. 3 corners, exact same on the Indy circuit, but might have to approach them a little bit differently with the new tire model. I believe we are already into qualifying, so we are. So we'll hopefully get to see the time soon as drivers, of course, a bit of a longer lap around the full Brands Hatch circuit. Yes, we are about 3 minutes in. Oliver Stone coming up to the line, might be setting our first time on the board. Is so indeed 122.7 is the opening benchmark from our championship leader. Let's see, can anyone get close or dethrone them from pole position?
Let's have a look. Aiden Carter coming to the line. Might be one of the first times the potential challenge comes to the line. And it is half a second off.
And runs a little bit wide through Paddock Hill Bend, getting onto gravel, and has likely invalidated this lap, though drivers will still be getting their tyres up to temperature to an extent. Of course, the longer lap will make it a little bit quicker in these early laps to get them up to temperature, especially the back end of the Grand Prix circuit. Quite a few high speed, well, they're all right-handers. Left-hand side tyres will be up to temperature quite nicely, but the right-hand side tyres might need a bit longer, might be a little bit of a struggle through the left-handers, of which there are only 3 around the circuit. As we see Aidan through Hawthorns now onto the Grand Prix that section we didn't get to see back in the second round. Now into Westfield. You can see high speed dips down the hill, and then we'll be coming towards Shane Curve, jump up to Ash Hills, coming round Clark Curve, on to the Brabham Straight to finish their second lap, or first valid lap if they have kept it valid, and that will pop them P9 onto the board for now. So Seacar behind them, just getting a bit sideways, sliding through Paddock Hill Bend. Not a great way to open the lap up.
No, not at all. I think it was actually Lewis Mason. There's a car in between them. I believe Bottleson potentially. Yes, it was Bottleson, I think. Anywho, times are coming in and times are tumbling actually. Ollie Stone yet to be beat. However, cars out on circuit. We have 22 drivers with 8 drivers yet to set a lap time. I can hopefully say that's going to change with Sean McArdle yet to be on the timing tower. And Morgan gets up on there, and so does McArdle. McArdle slots just ahead of Morgan. Just they both come to the line, and that's not how you take turn 1. Oh, it's a flip! Oh,
Well, that is something not to do in the race. Sean losing the rear end coming into Paddock Hill, something we've seen quite often, especially in our first visit here to Brands Hatch. Did see a number of people, seen 2 people even synchronized spinning into T1 line astern, just showing how easily done that mistake is. we'll see a replay here of this. Mason, exact same thing, different corner. That's at Sterling's Bend, turn 8. Luckily, the gravel's slowing the car down before they get to the barrier. They'll be able to carry on with the session. Hopefully, that hasn't damaged the tyres too much with that slide.
Let's see, I'm just hoping I would have got the onboard of the flip, which would have been quite interesting, but didn't actually track, which is interesting. Hey ho, we'll carry on. Matt Cleaver getting up into 4th position. The times are quite close. Let's just have a look and change that timing tower a little bit. There we go. It's a bit more clearer to see how close drivers are to the leader. There's quite a tight gap between 4th and 5th. However, just sticking with Jarrett, I'm going to stick with him because he's about to finish a lap. I believe it is valid. We'll see what he can do. He goes down to the final turn 9. Puts the power down, the corner kind of banks away from you a little bit. You kind of use that to help turn the car in. Comes to the line. The American. But for now, it's an improvement in time, just not in position.
Jarrett just 700ths off of Vertoy in 17th. See, Ulverstone Crossline improves their benchmark, 122.7. Not a big improvement, but does just extend the gap back up to 4/10 at the front of the field. Aidan Carter served midway between 1st and 3rd as Peter Stather down 8 tenths back, but Mike Pfeiffer's gets himself up to the top 3, still 7 tenths off, and runs wide through Paddock Hill and pulls out of the way
Just
of
about.
the car. Yeah, of the guy right behind him. Lets him carry on.
They do. So Staver's just going to go for another outlap. Aidan Carter's coming to the pits. There's going to be fresh rubber for those 4 tyres and maybe remove a little bit more fuel, trying to get a bit more time out of the car. He will come back to the track. Matt Cleaver. Oh, P5 at the minute's had an off. That is interesting.
That's a Graham Hill band. We'll see. Just again loses their end. Manages not to go for a spin, but does have to direct the car onto the grass. Decides, hang on, I'll take a new set of tyres, please, and heads out for another quali stint. Currently sitting in P5. Charlie Morgan cross line, currently down in 14th place, and has an invalid lap, so will not be improving from there. But still plenty of time, just over 6 minutes remaining, and as always, good to remember that once the time runs out, qualifying immediately ends. There is no finishing your final lap. The checkered flag will show, and the session, and you will be reset to your garage, whether you like it or not. As we see Charlie Morgan heading out of Surtees, down Hawthorne Hill now, towards Hawthorne's Bend. Very high speed corner. Wouldn't be too surprised if we see a couple of people struggle with the rear end through this quick right-hander. Charlie maybe could have carried a little bit more speed through there, not using all of the track on the exit. Uses all of the curb though on the exit of Westfield Bend. Now down Dingledale to Shim Curve. Using a lot of that inside curve, but again not using all of the road on the exit. Into Sterling's. Getting over that exit curb as they try and improve themselves from this 14th place. Just one corner to go now into Clark Curve. Uses all the track on the exit right up to the grass. Keeps it off the grass though. And now down the Brabham straight run to the line will be improvement for Charlie Morgan. Wait for the time. It is improvement up to P12. 5 thousandths ahead of Fury Shore.
Page was on the exit of turn 1 in the kitty litter just there. Obviously not starting his lap the way he wanted to. We'll go back to the pits. We'll just about have time to get out to do at least one more lap. But he needs to do so pretty much straight away. Matt Cleaver has the spins, get going once more, but a little bit away from the pit lane. Maybe actually just coat it out the wall. And
yeah, that's out of Graham Hill Bend again. So see, losing the rear end again. This time not catching the slide and going for a full 360. Does avoid the wall, but you have to imagine those tyres, which not too old, they're pretty new, have gone for a spin and will be somewhat damaged. Go on board or follow Aidan Carter now through Sterling's. Now towards final corner. Needs to find over 4 tenths if they want to put themselves on pole position towards the line now.
Going to be enough. Comes to the line. No improvement.
Not valid.
No, not even valid.
So, yeah, we'll have to go around again just under 4 minutes. Aiden will get 2 more laps here to improve. Let's go on board as they head into and way wide through Graham Hill Bend, using all of the runoff and quite a bit more, if anything. And that has invalidated that lap. Ben Brown, late to, up one of the later drivers to get a valid lap on the board, but putting themselves into P4 using all of the exits again on of Graham Hill Bend. But that, I think that's still valid. No red marker came up to say otherwise, so we'll assume it is valid. Out of Surtees now, down towards Hawthorns. No slipstream, no car in front to be giving any slipstream as I swing the car into the right-hander, using a bit of the exit curb. As we go on board, using all of the curb on the inside, all of the curb on the exit of Westfield. I spot the apex, blind apex. Again, using all of the curb, not all of the road on the exit. Very easy to just dip a wheel into the grass there and ruin the lap. Will dip a couple of wheels into the grass on the exit of Stirling's towards final corner Clark curve. Looks to be good, looks to be quite comfortable in the car, does Ben Brown. Up to the line now.
Any improvement? He only needs a little bit to get to third. Doesn't get it. And it wasn't a valid lap either, so he has gone off somewhere. I do wonder through Graham Hill Bend, if you went a little bit too wide on that grass, you can go wide. But if you go too wide, the game may punish you for it. And indeed, this time, it's kept 2 wheels on the curb. We'll keep an eye on his final lap. Mike Pfeiffer's gone to the pits. He will not be improving. Aidan Carter has also returned to the pits. Their qualifying sessions are done and dusted. Golly Stone is, however, on another lap. So next cars to look for potentially to improve.
I think this one's invalid though, because that's when we were looking at Ben Brown, seeing a blue car, I think that was blue car. Wolverstone did line up with them, getting a track warning. Peter Stather, a couple of wheels into the gravel at T1, having put themselves up to P4 ahead of Ben Brown by 0.003 of a second. I think that might be invalid. We'll go back to Ben Brown, who's on another lap here, pushing again, using all of the track there. Did that? I think I saw a red marker there, because Ben did have all 4 wheels over the white line.
He's slow. Yeah, he's going back into the pits. That's his qualifying absolutely done and dusted. Next car has come to the line, be Cleaver and Morgan. See what Morgan does in the first instance. Can't improve. It is a valid lap, doesn't improve. Cleaver, however, up to third.
Very tight battle over from third down to 6th, but all of those cars separated by 0.5 of a second. But Tolson now, currently a couple of attempts back in P8, is going to come into pit lane. And will not be improving. Charlie Morgan will not get another lap finish. Remember, in 20 seconds, the session will immediately end. Lewis Mason at the final corner will get to the line in time, as Vertoy improves their time, but not their position. They'll be starting 16th at best. Stock, again, improving time, but not position. Cam Mason improve their time and position at the end here.
No.
It is not a valid lap, and so they will be starting P11, identical time to Sean McArdle, but said it first, and will be starting just in front, but on the same row.
Your race start for first race this evening. Oliver Stone on pole from Carter, Matt Cleaver third, Pfeiffer's fourth, Staver fifth, Ben Brown in sixth, Stock seventh, Bottleson eighth, Autogren ninth, Scrur in 10th, Mason in 11th, McArdle in 12th, 13th is Ash Hill, take up that position with Morgan alongside. Arrow in 15th, for Terry in 16th, Collins 17th, Ashford 18th, Page 19th, Jessica Perry 20th, Luke Monroe 21st, and Aaron in 22nd.
do believe Luca Munro is serving a quali ban for tonight, though not sure why Restart hasn't been able to set a lap. I'll be starting from 22nd, quite a bit of work to do. But anything can happen this race. We know how much drivers have struggled a bit with sort of paddock hill bend, especially in the previous race. Seen a few people spinning throughout the qualifying session. Might see a few more in the race as the drivers have 35 minutes to contend with. Most of our drivers on the grid now, just waiting for a final driver or two before we get underway for our first feature race of the evening.
Indeed it is, and we are about to go live, or about to go racing for the first time this evening. It's Stone Carter front row, as we see a kind of background flicker in and out. I think that's Jarrett Page having an issue, but we will get going nonetheless. Ollie Stone gets away well. Carter's behind, immediately dips to the inside line, as I believe Carter then takes the lead behind. Fourth and fifth are fighting away, but also an Autogren also having very little fight down the order of Autogren and trading positions, like going up and down like a yo-yo. Perry, however, is gone wide, but no other calamitous issues for the start of this race. Now they'll go to the left here instead to the right. They'll go onto the full circuit. All full 9 corners having the full track this evening for these guys to really stretch their legs around the circuit. But for now, everyone's got away well.
Relatively clean start. Peter Stather making moves into T1, got up to the inside of Pfeiffer's, taking P4, and is now making a move on Matt Cleaver up to P3. Great opening lap from Stather so far, as Pfeiffer's is trying to come back to the inside of Cleaver. He's being left out to dry on the outside of Shane Curve. Will have the inside to try and defend from Ben Brown, but Ben holds it around the outside and takes P5. Not a great opening lap for Matt Cleaver here, as Ash Hill, I think, has had a spin coming off of Starlings.
He has indeed. Let's see what's happened here. Through that fast right-hander, so he'll be down onto the brakes here. And is it going to be sitting? It is on his spin. He avoids everyone else, does a brilliant pirouette, and is able to keep it back going in the right direction. Has been an issue actually for Sean Mercado, as that hits him off at turn 1. Oh, and that's a bit of an embarrassing moment.
Tried to put the power down as they came back onto the track and just spun the rear wheels, spinning themselves back off the track. Can see losing the rear end early in the corner, sliding off into the gravel. Very, very similar to a couple of the moments we've seen first time here in the second round. Mike Pfeiffer's has dropped back to P9 on the second lap, so they've had an issue as they were fighting over positions a little further up. That's Ben Brown up to P4. Ordegren is up to P5, having started back in P9, so up 4 places for them, being a good start, as Ashley Collins is going a little slowly here, coming out of Westfield now through Shane.
Indeed he is. He will try and make those positions back up again, but drops a position or 2. And that midfield battle, actually, Monroe, Reese Tarrant and Ash Hill all fighting away as the leaders come to the line. 122.9 for Oliver Stone. New fastest lap, very early days. It is only start of lap 3, but obviously out there to set the pace as it stands and getting a gap to P2 as... Oh, and that's Reese Tarrant running wide, and that's going to cost him a position. But Terry's dropped down the order a little bit. He's now down in 14th position. I think he actually went off track. Had a bit of an issue.
Yeah, Luca Munro getting past time start from back for the field. Ash Hill making in place as they try and recover from that spin. Someone else having issues is Butofson. Very poor run coming off of Surtees. They're dropping down the order. They were up in P6, I believe it was, now down to P10, losing 4 places in a matter of 1 corner. And see Nigel Stock defending from Mike Pfeiffer's towards Westfield. Action kicking off here at the Grand Prix end.
Awesome.
As the battle.
Position. What's happened to Bottleson? We'll try and figure it out. Matt Cleaver here. Oh, it's just a twitch. That's all it was. It just killed his momentum going through the corner. And that allowed like a train of cars to get past Bottleson for position, and finds himself down at the back end of that pack of cars.
Yeah, very closely contested here for P6, as we have Orgren trying to challenge Ben Brown towards Druids now. Right on tail and no room for a move there, but a little further back we also have Mike Pfeiffer's trying to challenge Nigel Stock for P7 again in that main battle of cars.
Oh.
Like, especially the front two, they're running wide out of Graham Hill Bend, using the runoff to their advantage. They'll have to be careful of the track warnings. Pick up too many and they will be picking up a drive-through penalty. Always want to leave yourself some margin too. We've seen drivers just get a penalty because they've then had a little car contact, and that's been enough to pip them over the edge. Pfeiffer's looking to the outside of Nigel Stock. That's compromised them and allowed Yuri to try and get through, and Yuri up to P8 now ahead of Mike. So Mike trying to go forward, but left themselves vulnerable and has instead dropped a place. Might even drop another look to the inside for this.
Ooh.
Mason decides better of it.
Does indeed. It is a fantastic midfield pack battle we have here for these drivers, and all to play for. I'm sure all these drivers will be wanting and chomping at a bit to get past one another, but for now we'll jump on board with Mike, as he's now got a bit of a gap to the car behind Lewis Mason, but he's looking ahead of him. Got 3 drivers ahead of him. I bet he's thinking, hold on, I'm getting close. There's a bit of a train here. What can I do? As he thinks about a late break and move up into turn 2. Thinks better of it. We say that Mason has just dropped a position as well in the background to Bottleson, recovering Bottleson after his little hiccup going into turn 4.
Yeah, but Hobson trying to get through, but Lewis Mason has held on. Has dropped these cars off the back of that train in front, though, and is allowing Charlie Morgan to catch up. They've brought Luca Monroe into the battle as well. That's another now 4-car train. As see Ashley Collins having a few connection issues as they sort of appear and disappear spontaneously down towards Hawthorns.
That's unnerving, isn't it? Oh, Mike Pfeiffer's just briefly taken to the grass.
Yeah, running wide there out of Shane Kerf, mentioned in qualifying how easily done it is, and they're one of our cars to do so. They're just wide of the apex. It is a blind apex as you come up over the crest, and runs onto the grass. Luckily doesn't spin, the car keeps it pointing the right way, but it may have just dropped them out of the slipstream range and sort of be the start of them dropping back towards the pack behind. We'll have to see how their pace develops. Ben Brown has got up to the back of Peter Stathers. We've got 2x2 fighting, but Tufson trying to get round the outside of Mason, who's defended in 2 Druids and has held on to that place, but Tufson now has to defend from Morgan, who was defending from Monroe. Very wide there from Mason, trip across the grass beyond this sort of little bit of runoff, and Morgan down the inside of Tufson, loses rear end and spins. The rear wing collected by Batufson and has been removed from the car. They'll get themselves going again, but that is essentially going to be them out of this battle. Here is a replay of it as they come towards, just throw the car into the under braking. The car was so unstable, and Batufson did go for a spin, having collected the rear end of Charlie Morgan. Very unfortunate for Batufson. Nothing they could do. As you can see, Charlie just in a little deep, trying to slow the car down and get turned in. The rear too light, and Batufson, that rear left suspension completely bent. You can see it's tracking about 20 degrees of toe. Yeah, that's trying to steer the car, and will be needing to be repaired. So it'll be a trip through pit lane and use of the quick repair available to all the drivers as they fight back. Meanwhile, further up front, podium battles. Peter Stather, who was on the podium, having made a good couple of moves on the opening lap, fallen back down to P5. Ben Brown and Ordegren are through, and Ben onto the podium. Still has Ordegren right behind, though it looks like Peter Stather maybe isn't quite done, made a mistake, I would assume, to drop behind these lot, and is now trying to use their pace to get back in front. Bit slipstream toward Hawthorns. They'll go for the move, put themselves on the inside, but Oregon's just going to hold the wide line, round the outside, carry the momentum, and will hold on to P4. If Ben Brown can put a good lap in here, he might be able to break away from this train, break the slipstream, and take the pressure off himself, though that doesn't seem to be the case. Oregon seems to be closing up to Ben Brown a little bit more in this Grand Prix section, and Stather dropping back a little bit, not able to maintain the same pressure, but maybe he'll close up at the as we get to the first half of the lap once more. Slipstream down Brabham Hill, or Brabham Straight, sorry, for Ortegrin towards T1. Thinks better of a move into Paddock Hill Bend. You can see Ben just using off the curb into Druids. Ortegrin not close enough to make a move this time, and Stather has just closed up a little bit here. Might be the case of Ben Brown isn't the fastest, if anything, might be the slowest of these three, as all of them pushing the runoff at the exit of Graham Hill Bend. Ortegrin, couple of wheels on the grass, nearly spinning the car around, but they just managed to hold on to it, still applying the pressure. But that just shows you how much these drivers are pushing. The pressure Ortegrin is putting on Ben Brown is quite massive. With the slipstream, thinks by going to the inside, decides better of it, knows how Stather couldn't use it to their advantage last lap, so knows, yep, probably isn't going to work here. Let's think of a better move, not compromise themselves too much.
Oh, they have. Look at this. Stather's right back on his tail again. Just one corner, change the change the complexity of this three-way battle. And it just swings and roundabouts, because now Ben Brown's now being caught back up altogether, but Stather in the background, even closer.
Yeah, these cars could barely get any closer. Ortegrin, we've mentioned this a few times, in that very difficult position. They're trying to attack the car in front of them, but at the same time they have to defend, as Stather to the inside of Paddock Hill Bend will get the move done and is back up to P4. Ortegrin thinking about re-attacking into Druids, isn't quite close enough, thinks better of the move now there, but Ben Brown still with the pressure on them now coming from Stather. Will they be able to get the move done? Of course, they still have to worry about Ortegrin. Unless Ortegrin drops back here, Ortegrin will be trying to find a way past and putting Stather under pressure, which might just prevent them from making a move on Ben Brown. But they've got a good run out of 30s here with the slipstream towards Hawthorns Bend. Will they try the inside line once again? It didn't work on Ortegrin a couple of laps ago, so they'll not try it this time around. Again, very difficult to make a move around this Grand Prix section with just how quick it is, how short the braking zones are, and if anything, the dirty are maybe just dropping Stather back a little bit and allowing Ortegrin to close up once more, sliding the car through Shane Curve. You can see how close Ortegrin is as we go back to the battle with Luca Monroe trying to get themselves up in front of this Mason, who has dropped off the back of the train that they were a part of up ahead with Pfeiffer's in Ure.
Absolutely. So that is Mason Monroe Hill fighting for position here. Yuri is just about 6.5 seconds. It's the back of the next train of cars. Oh, it's a bit of no man's land here, and Mason's going to struggle. He's got no one in front of him punching a hole in the air for him. But he's got a bit of breathing space with these two drivers behind him. Keep on fighting, and that's going to potentially enable him to get a bit more of a gap, a bit more of a cushion before he has to be involved in this fight for P10.
Yeah, these cars are fighting. We see Monroe defending a couple of times now into turns 1 and 2. Now it has allowed Mason to just build half a second. The rear end sliding a little bit for Monroe through 30s. And that has given Ashhill a run. Again, defending the inside for Monroe might not be the best idea from what we've seen in previous battles, but around the outside, Ashhill slotting back into line, not coming to move, but going for a cutback. Have they got to the inside? They have indeed. Down the inside at Westfield Bend, and it is move done for Ashhill. Luca Monroe dropping back a little bit. But these two drivers might be thinking, actually, now let's try and catch up to this Mason again, try and get themselves into the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. That's now got to be his plan for Ash Hill. It's got the move done. Looks to have created a gap already. Monroe in the slipstream, but may not be able to do much with it as it stands. We will go back to the lead battle for P3 as we jump into turn 1. Ben Brown going defensive. Defend from Peter going into turn 2. But it looks like all status quo. Mason has gone off circuit, so that battle is going to reignite itself once more with Luca Monroe, and indeed that's in position taken. Just quickly see that overtake that's been redone again. And again, I'll back up the inside. And is that move already done previously? I stand correct. Now I want to look at this overtake as Ash Hill overtakes the person he was chasing.
This Mason running wide out of Paddock Hill Bend onto the gravel. That allowed Ash Hill through cleanly. Monroe able to get to the inside and get the place as well for Jurds. So Ash Hill, Monroe, much easier than expected to get past Mason. But of course, Ash Hill now takes that top 10 spot. Monroe will still have to fight for it. But Mason right on the back of those two drivers, and it's now become a 3-car train once more. Speaking of 3-car trains, we still have this 3-car train over P3. Ben Brown has held on so far, but Stather is still applying the pressure. Only takes one moment, one wide moment, like Peter Stather there. They'll just get away with that one as Wordegrin just there, not applying too much pressure, but just waiting any major significant mistake from Stather, and Ordegrin will be up to P4. We also have the battle for P6, another 3-car train. Nigel Stock trying to get past Matt Cleaver, has had a poor exit out of Graham Hill Bend, and Pfeiffer's has closed back up. Yore is not too far in the background as Matt Cleaver breaking away a little bit from Stock as in the slipstream. Pfeiffer's looks to the inside. We haven't seen this move work so far, but will it work this time? Stock is going to hold it round the outside, but Pfeiffer still has the inside here, and this could be a move through Westfield. They're given the room, and actually, it's Yore who's going to try and make the move, but wheel-to-wheel contact, the wheels getting interlocked. Very lucky that they haven't had a major crash. Yore still around the outside of Shane Curve. What a move. That was so brave. Good respect too from Pfeiffer's to leave them the space. But that is such a rare move. You rarely see moves through Shane Curve. But Yore did it. Fair play to both of them. That's great racing.
I didn't want to look for a minute, but I did want to look because it was good, but I didn't want him to crash. Like, oh my god, what's going on? It was brilliant. That was fair racing from all, and space was given, and maybe a little bit of a touch when they realised, hold on a minute, you're there. I need to maybe give you a little bit more space. But they figured it out. They didn't crash. That was some great fighting from the both. And they're still going at it as well.
Still fighting away. Pfeiffer's trying to look back to the inside at Surtees, and they do come together this time. Somehow they're still facing the right way. High on earth are they? But there must be a bit of suspension damage. Trying to see if all those wheels are in alignment, as that was quite a whack on the rear left for Yore. They're still continuing on. Yeah, I can see the front wing a little bit bent on the left-hand side as Charlie Morgan has had issues, dropped down to 19th position. But what was a great battle has ended in disaster. Into Surtees. Pfeiffer's on the inside, just whack to the side of Yore. Will try and chase down Nigel Stock, but might be a bit difficult if they have damage as well.
Yeah, quite potentially. The top three, well, say top three. The third place battle, three-way battle, is slightly spreading out, and Jory, we said correctly, into the pit lane. That's going to be damaged because of that contact.
Yes, go for come and use fast repair. See Nigel stuck to the inside of Matt Cleaver into Jurds. Matt has to leave the door open. He's trying to get cut back, trying to get a better exit. And they do get alongside again, but it'll be the outside for Graham Hill Bent. Doesn't work out. They back out of it. Maybe they're going for another cutback, trying to get the speed, thinking about the inside of Surtees, but doesn't have enough of a run to get alongside. Nigel Stock up to P6. But well, Matt Cleaver is not going to give this up. It's going to the slipstream towards Hawthorne, so he seemed difficult to make a move here. But it could be possible, though. Is Matt Cleaver close enough? No, they're not going to be close enough just yet.
Ben Brown's had an incident. He's had a spin, and he's off the circuit, loses P3, will rejoin the circuit just about in time ahead. Oh, I stand corrected. Nigel Stuck and Matt Cleaver will make their way past. What happened to Ben?
Bit front wing damage on the front left,
Oh.
but he already has this kill. Just Stather running into the back of Ben Brown there. Got to imagine that'll be reported and end up as a post-race penalty for Stather. But very unfortunate for Ben Brown. Was running well on the podium, holding on well.
It was.
Okay. Yeah, clears anything there from Stather. They'll probably know what's happened there and realise, yeah, it's not going to be an easy way. They might not even hold on to P3 on the track or the grid, try and go for a move to put themselves into the podium. They'll likely be there with a post-race penalty for Stather, but they're trying to finish third on track round the outside of Graham Hill Bend. Great move there from Orgrim, but Stather's going to try and come back into 30s. Bit of a risky move and backs out of it in the end. As we see Charlie Morgan, I think, had an instant there. 30s, they're already a lap down. It has been a struggle for them. Stather trying to get any slipstream they can off of Morgan, but won't help them as they get to Hawthorne's Orgrim in front. Be interesting to see now if they're able to pull clear with the cleaner. This is Morgan, who's already had a tough race and just loses around 330s and gets the car stopped and will get going again.
Did indeed. So that will be a race to forget for Charlie, I would think. But yeah, at least being able to get out of the way of these two race leaders. Autogren, by the looks of it, has been able to pull a gap, and now the gap is about 1 second, which is just pretty much outside of any sort of tow you're going to get in these cars.
Yeah, opening that gap up now. Pierce Stather probably has a bit of front end damage from going into the back of Ben Brown as well, which won't be making it, might be making it a little bit difficult to keep up. And will drop back. Does have 4.5 seconds back to Nigel Stock, so might be able to hold on to P4, but of course, penalty most likely incoming will drop to the lower ends of the top 10.
Yeah,
but we'll still remember top 15 reverse grid for our second race. The penalty will only be applied after that. So, currently Stather would be starting P12, but they might actually only get the points after a penalty for P9 or P10, maybe P8 actually. Quickly judging the gaps, it is quite close within that top 10. So we see Munro all over the back of Ashhill, putting the pressure on, trying to get themselves up to P9.
They're trying to. It would be a good move if they can make it through this middle sector. Need to be a bit more closer to anything through there, and I think Luke is aware of that. He's just hanging put, or staying put, to try and wait for a better move to come, and it'll be down into the final 10. Might have just got a good run there through turn 8 in the slipstream. It's a bit of a half defence from Ashhill. Realises it really needs to defend into that corner and will survive to fight another day. Just seen that Autogren have a bit of an instant. Lost about 1.1 second there. And the lead he had over P4 has come down a little bit. Oh, that's a save. Went drifting, prevented the spin. But that hurt him. That hurt him big time. It's going to hurt those tyres as well. As we jump back to Luca Monroe. Now trying to get past Ashhill into turn 4. Inside line, easy down. Can Ashhill get the cutback or hang it around the outside? Never mind a cutback. Hang it up around the outside. It'll become the inside line for the next fast right-hander. And Luca Monroe may just have to re-evaluate and try and go for another attack later on in this race.
Slots back into line after Ashhill brilliantly around the outside. Just kept their nose in there and far enough to Munro, left the space, didn't push them off the track, which is great to see. And we'll try another time, but of course the more these drivers fight, the more the gap opens up to cars in front. Speaking of the cars in front, Ben Brown trying to make a move on Matt Cleaver, having got past Mike
Matt.
Pfeiffer's and Cleaver into pit lane. That makes things a bit easier, but I think Ben Brown had to get onto the brakes to avoid a collision there, and that's like Mike Pfeiffer's back through, but is Ben Brown gonna send it to the inside of Paddock Hill, squeezed onto the inside by Mike, but they get through cleanly. Pfeiffer's back up to P6. Ben up one place ahead of Cleaver, who dived into pit lane, but down one place as well.
Thinking to myself, where the hell is Cleaver going? But well, he made his intentions clear, let's put it that way. But heart in mouth moment, I'm thinking, please don't cut up another driver, please don't let it turn into them. It's not going to help as we see. Oh, it's Morgan.
Still spinning at 30s as Ash Hill and been fighting on the opening part. We could just see in the background of the camera shots them fighting away, and Ash Hill has held on now as Ray Short fighting to get past for Toy. Sort of escorts him a little bit wide as they make a move to the inside of Graham Hill Bend and is back up to 13th place. And next target is Reese Town, though 8.5 seconds up the road. Just under 10 minutes left in the race as Oliver Stone is starting the 19th lap of the race. And we go back to Sean McArdle fighting with Butolfson. Butolfson, of course, was quite a bit further up but had issues. Speaking of issues, Matt Cleaver has had an issue after having that trip through pit lane.
He has? Where is he? Here he is. Let's see. What happened? Oh! There's just a couple of wheels off circuit and just sent him round. That's all it was. He gets going again, but cold tyres. Oh, he's back in the pits. Well, there's been a separate incident, I think. So, Matt Cleaver. Has this been there?
This is the same
contact.
spin.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a bit of front end damage there. I wonder if Ben Brown clipped the back of him as he was coming into pit lane, and that's maybe given him some damage.
I wonder.
That's just speculation. Can't say for certain. As Ben Brown also running wide at the same corner, this at Shane Curve. Mentioned in qualifying how easy it is to run wide there, and we've seen a couple of drivers in short succession doing so. Ben getting away with that one, though we'll have lost a bit of time as we look a little further in front. Ben has dropped back and is actually coming into pit lane. Might have got off-track instant point, and that might have been enough for a drive-through penalty for them. That, or they're coming in to repair some damage. But see, Mike Pfeiffer's on the back of Nigel Stock, who's got themselves into the top 5 now, helped by other drivers' issues. But is having to fend off from Pfeiffer's, who's looking to get back up. They started this race, Pfeiffer's up in P4, so a little bit of a disappointment to be down a couple of places at the moment, but they can make it one place better. Also, Luca Monroe has finally got the move done on Ash Hill, but Ash Hill is still right on the back of Monroe. Will be looking to make a move should Monroe open any opportunities. A little slide for Monroe there. Compromised their exit out of 30s a little bit. Ash Hill, though, immediately has to pull out of the slipstream. Might not be far enough alongside. On the outside for Hawthorns. I haven't seen this move work yet, and it hasn't worked this time, though. It has carried more momentum. And Monroe already going defensive for the fast right-hander of Westfield. Is it going to be another cutback for Ash Hill? No, they'll not get alongside again, and they'll have to follow through Shane Curve here, a little wide of the apex, but stay off the grass and into Sterling's. I'll have to set up a move at another point. Pfeiffer's is trying to get the move on Nigel Stock. The two are side by side as they come down the start-finish trail. Nigel Stock will have the inside for Paddock Hill Bend, and Pfeiffer's not opting to hold it around the outside, maybe going for a bit of a cutback at Druids, but isn't able to carry enough momentum, and will be on the outside for Druids as well, though much better momentum through there, and Scott will be the outside of Graham Hill Bend, but again not holding overlap. It's another cutback, and it'll be the inside for Sardi's. It's been a move 3 corners in the making for Pfeiffer's, but they finally got it
How
done, or
did
have
that
they? They
happen?
lose the rear end, and they're spun round through 30s.
Oh no. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
They'll
That
get
is not...
going again just before Munro and Ash Hill catch on to this. It looks like from that angle, Magpipers has lost it by themselves. Maybe a gear shift in the middle of the corner has unsettled the car. Although can't rule out the possibility of iRacing netcode getting involved in just giving Pipers a little bit of a nudge from stock, even though there was sufficient distance between the pair of them. That is always a possibility. As Ashel just slightly clipping the grass there, the car twitching a little bit as they're still fighting to get past Luca Munro. This battle now, it used to be over P10 and 11. It's now become P7 and 8, just from other cars falling into issues. Ben Brown taking the final top 10 position. It's closing up to Lewis Mason and will be trying to make a move in the final 5 minutes of the race to go. Luca Munro wide through that apex of Paddock Hill bend, immediately goes defensive into Jords, sending it late on the brakes for Ashhill, locks the front right tyre up, can't turn the car in with the locked tyre, goes very wide, and Munro is still in front. Understeer there for Ashhill through Graham Hill bend, and Luca Munro able to start break away now. If he can break the toe, he might be able to clear himself from pressure for the rest of the race. Go imagine Ashhill is going to have a bit of a flat spot on that front right tyre, going to make it easy to lock up again. Aidan Carter has had an issue. That gap is tumbling down into double digits between them and Oliver Stone, as Ben Brown has got the move done on Lewis Mason up to P9 now.
Didn't look like Lewis went off or anything. That just looked like Ben Brown catching up. I'm just gonna go back to a replay. We'll see how that unfolded. Oh, I think that was partly Lewis Mason saying, "Hold on a minute, you're quicker potentially than me. I'm gonna let you pass." That didn't look like a real fight or a battle at all. It just looked like it just easily happened. Not that Ben Brown is going to be complaining in the slightest. I'm sure he'll be very appreciative of that free position, especially with his race turning out the way it has.
Yeah, Mason still in the top 10. They qualify 11th, so they're still up one place from where they qualified. Whereas Ben Brown qualified in P6, has been running in the podium this race, who does have a bit more pace. Mason maybe just acknowledging that, like, right, this isn't my fight to have, let's just not risk any late race incidents as we see those positions gained and lost. Munro, of course, with that quali ban, started at the back, has got themselves up to P7, might even be P6. They have got up to the back of Mike Pfeiffer's, and they might be able to steal P6 from them at the end. Pfeiffer's struggling down a couple of places, but still 3 minutes left in the race, not long to go, but still a battle to come.
Absolutely. In the Twitch chat, we're going to say hello Twitch, by the way. Dave Wood saying Charlie's fancy new pedals ain't helping him tonight. Charlie Morgan all the way down in 18th position. Oh dear. Maybe a bit of recalibration needed before he can fully extract the performance from his fancy new pedals, potentially. But thank you very much for everyone joining in. Ben Holmes signing in from Florence, Italy. You fancy so-and-so.
Ben, of course, one of our admins for the series, taking a week off, much like what Aidan has done the last couple of weeks. The admins having their good time off.
Yes.
Away. Well treated. Hopefully we'll get to see them for a full season next time. Next season, yes, as we continue to watch Luca Munro. Time is starting to run out for Munro. I mean, it's already been a really good drive to get up to P7 from the back of the grid. It is 14 positions gained. Hopefully we haven't seen them involved in any instance so far that I can recall. Hopefully there hasn't been anything we missed. That is always a bit of a possibility when you're fighting through to get past so many cars. But Oliver Stone just starting the 25th lap and couldn't quite tell. I think there will be 2 more laps for the cars that we're watching as they cross line. I think Oliver Stone will start the final lap with a couple of seconds left remaining, but with a 12.5-second gap to Aidan Carter behind, they do have that possibility to slow down and shorten the race by 1 lap. Lapped car, I believe that's Ashley Collins, letting the leading cars through. They go either side of her down Brabham Straight into Paddock Kilbend for the penultimate time, most likely. Luca Monroe saying a personal best lap as they try and chase down this P6 at the dying end of the race. They really want this position and they're showing it as the fuel has burned off. They've kept decent curve their tyres throughout this race, evidently, that they're still able to go quick at the end of this race. Into Surtees, closing up in the braking zone, though opting not to go for a dive, as all over the rear end is Monroe in the slipstream. They're closing. Pipers holds the inside line and will force Monroe to the outside. Do they commit to a move? We've never seen a move here work, and Monroe backs out. Will try at another opportunity onto the curb on the exit for Pipers, carrying all the speed they can through this Grand Prix section. Monroe will have to be worried about that dirty air a little bit. Don't let them run out wide as Pipers ride up to the grass on the entry and exit of Sheen Curve. Through the penultimate corner now, both of these drivers pushing hard, and you can see it by how the car slides around. Oliver Stone has started the final lap, so it'll be one more for these drivers as they fight for P6. Can Pipers hold on, or will Monroe be able to make up one more place, make it 15 places gained? This race was a couple of tenths slower than Pipers last lap, but closes in once more to Druid. Slightly tighter line on the entry. As look at that pushing little wiggle from Pipers as they put the power down out of Druids through Graham Hill Bend. The drivers not pushing the track limits too much, maybe because they're quite close to picking up a drive-through, which would be devastating at this stage of the race. Oliver Stone already waving down towards Clearways and Clark Curve. On to the Brabham Straight now. It will be another victory for Oliver Stone. Only their third victory of the series, but we cut back to this battle. Monroe fighting is down the inside of Pipers, but they've held it round the outside, still side by side through Westfield up to Sheen Curve. This is a very difficult corner to go side by side through. Though we've seen it once before, we'll see it again. Pipers down the inside, straight into the rear end of Monroe. What a horrible way to end the battle, and Ash Hill is going to pick the pieces up and claim P6.
Oh, that's not how you want to finish a race, guys. Oh, that's probably going to be a steward review after the race, and we do allow that to happen. Pipers comes into the pits for some random reason, but we'll see the checker flag in 9th. Will he just? What's Lewis Mason? No, Lewis Mason pips him to the line as Pipers. Is that a drive-through for track limits? Right at the end of the race.
It could have been. It could have been the contact as well, because that would have been most likely a 4X. But that does promote Ben Brown up to P8, Lewis Mason up to P9. Pipers will take the final top 10 spot as last lap drama on the penultimate corner. Runner Batolfson will come across the line for P15 and will take reverse grid pole position for our upcoming sprint race and will be the last car across the line and leave us with our provisional race 1 results from Brands Hatch Grand Prix, but before any post-race penalties.
As we are now just going into a warm-up session, the cars will have about 5 minutes to go back on track, get used to things, and have another bit of a practice session before they are gridded up for race 2. We will take this moment just to take a quick collection and say, wow, what a race that has been for the first time out. As we said, top 15, Bottleson will be on pole, and we will hopefully get a full grid for you as warm-up finishes in about 4.5 minutes time. We don't at all. We've got 4.5 minutes. Twitch chat, how are we doing tonight? Wonderful to see you all. Ben Holmes, I know you're in from Italy. What wine are you drinking at the moment, good sir? I want to know. what is your beverage of choice in that wonderful country? I hope you're enjoying some food as well.
Shall we, as the warm-up session goes on, just go through those full results from our first race?
Oh, good if I would.
I've got them up here
Oh, you
myself to
legend.
read through. Oliver Stone, as we mentioned, taking their third win of the season after having four consecutive second place finishes.
Oh,
Will be happy to sort of right that trend for themselves. And Aidan Carter will have to settle for second place. Ortegrin gets themselves onto the podium for the second time. Pardon me.
oh goodness.
Yeah, Oregon will get themselves onto the podium for the second time this season in P3. They did have a previous P2, so it's not equal to their best result. Peter Stather will have to settle for P4, having won our last race out at Silverstone. Nigel Stock will take P5 ahead of Ash Hill, claiming P6 after that late race drama with Luca Monroe holding on 7th. Ben Brown, we get up to P8. Lewis Mason, P9. Mike Pfeiffer's, we drop to P10 from that late collision. Reece Tarn just missing out in the top 10 in P11. They are ahead of... I'm trying to see, but my screenshot is very blurry. I believe it's Yore Shore that takes P12. Vertoy will be in 13th and on the front row for a race coming up. Sean McGardle finished 14th, and Butofson, after a couple of spins, will finish 15th. Matt Cleaver, unfortunately for them, just missing out on the reverse grid, will be finished and will start 16th in the upcoming race. Ashley Collins, with her connection issues, will finish 17th, and Charlie Morgan with a very difficult, very challenging race. Quite a few spins. We've seen a couple of them at Surtees, finished P18. Not finishing the race, we had Sophie Ernwin, Richard Ashford, Jack Page, and Jessica Perry.
Yes, indeed. Just going to show some cars going around, so we just await the warm-up session to go through. But yeah, just a very interesting race. A 35-minute race was the longest one we're going to have tonight. Next one's a bit more shorter, 25 minutes, so 10 minutes less for these guys to fight it out. But that reverse grid is going to potentially cause some interesting racing, especially those faster guys starting pretty much down at the bottom of the grid. Have everyone ahead of them. They know they're quicker than them, but we'll have to be fighting with everyone else in the meantime to try and fight through the field along with everyone else. Reese, what are you doing? Oh dear. Here we go. Must be listening. Just see these cars go. I also want to touch base and fantastic liveries at the we do utilise trading paints here for our oNiD season, and of course, if you are racing with us on iRacing, you head on to trading paints, put your livery, upload it, and we'll be able to see it for the whole world to see. Yeah.
I do just have to check, you did update trading paints for tonight.
Maybe not. Anyway.
Checkered flag is out on
the
warm-up session. So it will not be too long before our drivers start getting gridded up, and we will be heading for our feature race. Ben Brown is saying that it should just auto-update.
Fine, it's all good. Good. Fine, all good. We'll quickly go through the grid for this race. We said is Mike Pfeiffer's on pole position from Bottleston. How did that happen? Mike Pfeiffer's finished, but Bottleston finished in that all-elusive 15th position.
Now this order isn't right.
Bottleston, McArdle for Terry, Laura Tarrant, Mason Brown, Roe Hill, Doc Staver, Porter and Carter, Stone, Lever. Zone 1, 15th, so that's fine. Random pole position, place driver. Lever 16th, Connie 17th, Morgan 18th, Arrow 19th, Ashford 20th, Page 21st, Perry in 20 seconds. We are just awaiting one more car to come to the grid. That is Baton for Terry, who hasn't pressed start. He will start from the pit lane as we do go racing. And we are away with Pfeiffer's on pole. And McArdle second. Sean McArdle in third, taking the place of Bottas. They fight away through turn 1. There is contact in the background. I think the rest of the field got away well. Maybe a little bit of contact between a few drivers. They figure out how in the world they're going to go past. There's a crash. And that's Ben Brown involved in a collision. Someone else is involved there as well. That is Lewis Mason.
Lewis Mason. Yeah, so Mike Pfeiffer's leads the way. I suspect they got a penalty after that incident. We did see them drive through pit lane, but I guess that penalty not being served correctly, they were given an extra time penalty, and that's bumped them down to 15th, or reverse grid pro. Reece Tarrant off without a rear wing at 30s, as it's been a chaotic start. As the driver's now up to Hawthorne's. Pfeiffer's running away with the lead as we see the pack behind. A little bit of a gap between Ash Hill and Peter Stather in 6th and 7th, as Ben Brown up to P11. They have Nigel Stock and Matt Cleaver, who's trying to hold on, but is maybe getting held out to dry a little bit as we see drivers coming through Sheen Curve. Now Matt Cleaver onto the grass as well. One of the other drivers, I think that might have been Page in the background, but Matt Cleaver holding now on as Sophie Irwin and Ashley Collins fighting side by side. Sophie round the outside will get themselves in front of Collins, and Charlie Morgan trying to get into a slipstream, make a place up. But Tolson's got themselves up to P2, and Uri Shore off through Paddock Hill Bend into the walls backwards, has deposited their wing on the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, and not sliding off there. I believe that's Jarrett Page sliding through the gravel as well, as Ashley Collins has had issues into the gravel at Druids.
We've still got a couple of things to catch up on, haven't we? It's been a bit of a hectic start. I'm going to try and see what happened at race start with Ben Brown. There was a clatter of cars. Oh, that's Lewis Mason getting turned round. That's what happened. There's a errand rear wing now of a car, and I wonder if that was the car of British Airways livery car. It is about a rear wing. Was that? Oh, who was that? Was not Mason, but I can't remember the name of the driver, but it's fine. one of those nights, full of chaos. Apart from that, everyone else got away well.
Well, everyone is still bunched up. You can see that pack from Ash Hill in 4th all the way down. This is Reece Tarrant. Was that Peter Stather into the back of them?
No, he already lost a rear ring through turn 1. He had a separate contact somewhere. I don't think he realised that he didn't have a rear ring.
As one of the downsides, when you look in your mirrors in some sims, they don't render the rear end of your car. Is we have a massive crash. Monroe, Ash Hill, Aidan Carter involved and collected, as well as someone else. Didn't quite see who that is that went into the side of them.
Right, try and figure this one out then. So this is turn 1. Aaron
Sophie
goes wide.
Irwin.
There's a separate incident, and there's already an incident prior to this. Alright, let's try and get this sorted. This is up into turn 1, and then Aaron's collected here. I'm going to try and go to a different camera, see if we can get a video. This would probably give us a better answer. That is...
So Ash Hill has a wobble out of Paddock Hill. Monroe has a run, goes to the inside. The two just can't come together and continue to get guest spins around. Ian Carter collected. That's Oliver Stone has to go around in the gravel. And then, yeah, Sophie was just in the middle of the track and nowhere to go in the middle. Charlie Moore, for Toy, sorry, that was going around as well into the gravel, trying to avoid the incident. Unfortunate for those. As just Ash Hill and Monroe fighting for the same bit of road, two
Yeah,
cars into
pretty
one,
much.
just doesn't go. And
Doesn't.
yeah, that's what happens. A shame for the others that got collected up in that. They'll be frustrated with that, but that's just racing sometimes.
Is indeed, sadly, and Page Hill, Arrowan, Munro, Carter all in the pits. Aiden Carter in the pits as well. Staver also recovering from this reverse grid start. Looking to make a move outside of Morgan. Morgan's had some issues on that corner. Lucky he didn't have another spin and collect him on the outside. They give each other space, and Morgan will have the outside line for the next right-hander at turn 5. Is sometimes favourable if you know what you're doing, but I have a feeling that Morgan, bless his soul, will stay put. He thinks about making another move up the inside of turn 6, but then slots back in behind as there's grass being kicked up there by a car up ahead. Not entirely sure who that was, might have been Stone or Cleaver, as they are in a little bit of a train behind Nigel Stock and Ben Brown. This is going to be turning into a bit of maybe a 5-way battle for P5.
Well, Ortegrin leading the way. Has a little bit of a gap to Ben. Here's a little bit of a gap to Nigel as well, who is the one really under pressure from Matt Cleaver. Overstone, fastest lap of the race as they catch up to the back of this train into Druids. See a lot of gravel on the outside there. You really don't want to run wide to get the dirt onto your tyres. This could be a bit of an issue. Ben Brown running a little wide there through Graham Hill Bend. Matt Cleaver moving around a little bit, thinking which way do they want to try and get past Nigel Stock. Where's the opportunity going to be? Nigel running wide through 30s has opened the door on the inside for Cleaver. Can Cleaver carry the momentum towards Hawthorne? Silverstone is thinking, can they make it 3 wide? Up into Hawthorne's now, round the outside for Matt Cleaver. This move hasn't worked for anyone so far, but that might change. He's kept it there alongside, and he's got to hold it alongside through Westfield. Has to back out on the outside, and Oliver Stone is going to make their way through on the inside. Now Stone onto the back of Stock, and is heading into Sterling's. Is now trying to wait for the opportunity, but that's side by side. Look at the gap that's formed up to Ben Brown now, who's pulled away, and will be able to maybe think about putting pressure on Ortegrin without having to worry about being passed themselves. So those two are closing up to Sean McArdle as well for P3. Last lap, 9/10 quicker for Ortegrin than Sean as Overstone makes a move up the inside, clean as you like, and into P6 for Stone ahead of Stock there.
Good move, absolutely fantastic. Textbook move up into turn 1. Bit later on the rates, carrying speed through. He should be fine. Sean McArdle, however, has dropped a position to Ortegrin, and now Ben Brown wanting to take and collect the pieces as well from a potentially mistake there from Sean. Just seeing what happened. He doesn't say he's gone off track or anything, but we'll just see if we can get a bit of a replay. I think they were just fighting normally, and then yeah, Ortegrin is around the outside, and Sean, I think, just says, you know what, you've got the move done, I'm going to let you have it, but lost so much momentum going through turn 3 should I say, that has allowed Ben to get past.
This is one of those scenarios you'll see commonly with reverse gradient. One of the slower drivers who's been reversed up front has been caught by the quicker drivers, and now they've got to pick and choose their battles. Oliver Stone, next driver to try and pass Sean McArdle, has been the fastest driver this evening. Will get to the inside and will be a clean, easy move. Sean McArdle not fighting that one too hard. Probably wise decision there. With the pace difference between the two, as you know, we've seen with drivers, we've seen with Nigel Stock and Matt Cleaver just how much time they lost fighting side by side through
Sean.
multiple corners, but doesn't help when you run wide through T1 onto the gravel and gives up the 2 places to those drivers.
Yep, and that's going to allow Matt Cleaver really to get a hold of this fight and try and get past Nigel Stock. Ollie Stone about 1.5 seconds ahead of these two now for 5th position, who's actually on the tail of Ben Brown. So if them two start fighting, this might bring Cleaver and McArdle back into the picture a little bit more.
Yeah, Overstone already onto the tail end of Ben Brown in the slipstream towards Hawthorne. Thinks about a move, has a little jerk, maybe tries to sort of surprise or scare Ben Brown into a mistake, but it hasn't worked. We'll have to follow through this middle sector. Now coming up towards Shane Curve into the fast right-hander. Silverstone just slightly tighter line there. Trying to hold back a little bit into Sterling's, carry the momentum through Sterling's onto the straight towards Clark Curve. Will they get to the inside before the corner? No, they're very close. Will not make contact, but has to drop back a little bit. They were too close coming into Clark Curve to be able to make a move into T1. I drop back a little bit through T1. You can see both of these drivers fighting the car a little bit. Ben Brown onto the gravel, slightly kicking up a few stones towards the track. Let's head through Jared Silverstone using quite a bit of the inside curb there through the right-hander. Again, a little bit of a more curb on the inside for Stone through Graham Hill Bend. Just trying to get the run to make the move, fighting the rear end on the entry of Surtees. As behind these two, Matt Cleaver has got a move done on Nigel Stock. Slipstream to the inside goes Oliver Stone into Hawthorne's Ben Brown. Are they going to try and hold around the outside? No, they'll not be able to. Oliver Stone up to P4 now as Sean McGardle drops to P9 behind Peter Stather.
He does. Oh, press the camera angle. There we go. As we'll see. We can get the Peter Stafford move. Let's have a look. Outside line for turn 5. And he's able to hold it around the outside. Oh, that's a love tap.
Stather maybe just with a bit of steering angle on the exit of the corner, trying to keep the car off the grass. And then Sean just, the car slightly drifting out into Stather, racing instant, I would say, between those two, just as they're fighting over for position. Hopefully no damage for either of them. But yeah, Sean following Stather will be using the slipstream to try and help their pace, try and keep them in front of Charlie Morgan, who is up into a top 10 position. A little bit of a surprise to see, given their struggles in the first race. Hopefully they'll be able to avoid those same mistakes and hold on to that position that they've been helped into with the chaos that we've had in the first half of this race, as we are about halfway through now, as we see Sean still following Stather. Be surprised if Sean is able to make a move back into P8, but just the slipstream here helping him to keep up, but runs a little bit wide there. And you can see that gap now opens up. Stather getting away, and we'll be trying to chase down Nigel Stock for 7th place. We'll look further up. 3-car train now behind Bertolfson, who's held on to P2 for quite a while, having started second on the grid behind Pfeiffer's. How much longer will they be able to hold on to into T1? Ordergren putting the pressure on slightly wide of the apex there for Bertolfson. Is Ordergren close enough? They're thinking about move to the inside. And have they got Bertolfson actually off into the gravel?
That is, I'm not entirely sure if he was encouraged to do so. It may have just been, that's just late braking. Absolutely nothing else in that. Just wanted to push the car a little bit further than he really should have done, and that's cost him the position.
Down 3 places as Ben Brown was also able to get through, but Oliver Stone not wasting any time has got to the inside of Ordergren into Hawthorne's and is now up to P2. A little over 11 minutes to go. 4.5 seconds for Oliver Stone to chase down to Mike Pfeiffer's for the lead of this race. Can they do the double? Or will they have to settle for 2nd place? Orgren following very closely. Maybe thinking that they can get back, hold Oliver Stone up a little bit as they fight towards the final corner through Clark Curve now. But I have to imagine Oliver Stone will be starting to stretch their legs, look at the gap in front of them and think, right, I'm going to chase that down. And hopefully not too long, they'll be right on the back. Even with getting that overtake done, they took a 10th out of Mike Pfeiffer's that lap. How long will it take as Ben Brown issues at T1? It's dropping down the order.
Oh, it is indeed, and that's not going to help his cause. Let's see what happened. Oh, too much curb.
Just a little bit wide onto the gravel, and the rear end loose, swings round. Luckily, they avoid the wall.
Oh, hold the brakes, good sir, and that will stop the car. Thankfully, just before the barrier, is able to rejoin. No damage to the car, not even damage to a bit of their confidence, potentially. They are going again down in P7.
You have to imagine, though, the tyres will not be happy with that big slide across the track. Will be damaged to an extent, and if Ben has held his brakes, locked the tyres up, bit of a flat spot as well, which might allow Peter Stather to close up and demote Ben another position, but we'll have to see how that goes.
Those tyres maybe start feeling like 50 pence pieces after a few spins, so hopefully not doing too bad for Ben. He's still got another 9 or so minutes to go for this race, and he may just limp it home at this point if he can retain the position. Absolute bonus. Tyres are not going to be overly happy as that Matt Cleaver going what? Was ever so slightly, but Nigel stopped right on his tail. I've had a couple of instances. I just want to see a bit further down the order. Jarrett Page having a bit of a spin. The American going into turn 4. Is that tyres on the right, on the grass, on the power? Yeah. Car goes, no thank you very much. What the hell are you doing? And decides to not cooperate as autogrid. Being a chain as Ollie Stone. That gap has increased between Autogrid and Oliver Stone.
Yeah, so Orgrim maybe making a small mistake that's allowed that gap to open up. See a replay something here, a little bit wide, but didn't lose too much time. Has already lost the time by the moment that wide moment happened. But we have had a few changes for position. Pierre Stather has got themselves in front of Ben Brown, has dropped back behind Ben Brown, and also then got back in front for a second time. While we were watching that replay, we've also had a couple of changes for position a little further back. But Ben Brown trying to come back at Peter Stather. As these two start to fight, maybe making a couple of mistakes, allowed that the change of position happen more than once. Has dropped them back from Nigel Stock. 4-second gap now between the two pairs of battles. As Ben Brown pushing to try and get back in front of Peter Stather.
He's giving it a good go, isn't he? He's trying to get that P7 back, tyres or no tyres. Not giving up. We'd like to see. Slipstream down to turn 5. You can go side by side, but Ben, I think, just a bit too far back to do anything about it. Will stay tucked in. There's a back marker ahead of them. That is Jarrett Page, I do believe, who will be very shortly lapped by these guys, and indeed he is. Car 491. There's one out of the way. Something you don't usually see, actually. Aidan Carter being lapped as well, who's in a little battle with Joey Screwer for 19th and 20th position, but we'll stick with this for now as Ben's got a good run through turn 8. Stays behind in turn 9. Or close enough, may be able to make a move in turn 1. Doesn't look like it's going to be possible. Meanwhile, Pfeiffer's and Ollie Stone, P1 and 2, gap is now closing. Gap is now below 2 seconds between both those drivers. We'll keep an eye on that battle as Stafford goes a little bit wide. It allows Ben Brown to put a nose up the inside. Ben goes, thank you very much. Hold on a minute. Outside line will become the inside for turn 3 for Stafford. And Peter will hold position as Ben gets a cut back once more. Edges Peter out to the edge of the track a little bit on exit. And an inside line for turn 4. But again, Peter, momentum around the outside. Ben can't match that.
good fighting and good defending in this battle for P7. As mentioned, gap up at front still coming down. 5.5 minutes left remaining, but the rate's coming down. It will be close between these two. We'll see what the lap time is as they cross the start-finish line. As Ashford has had an issue, I believe that Sophie Irwin spun at the pit entry. But across the line, 124.3, 123.6, that is 7.5 tenths of a second. Oliver Stone has caught up in 1 lap. That means 2 more laps, and they will be right on the back of Pfeiffer's, trying to make that move, but only leave them a lap or 2 to get the move done.
Yes.
So with that speed advantage, you can imagine it won't be too difficult.
I'll just tell you, can see the graphic on the bottom right of your screen. So you can show from lap 9 when the move was made for P2, Ollie Stone was 4.8, and now that gap's gone down to 1.5 beginning of this lap, but now increased even more, almost down to 1 second, and they are very much in the same screen shot of the broadcast. Gap is closing. The lead battle will commence very shortly.
Yeah, we still have some close battles up and down the grid. Nigel Stock still behind Matt Cleaver, but yet to put a proper counter-attack on or try and get themselves back in front of Cleaver into P5. Ben Brown still in back of Stather, but made a little mistake. Has dropped back in a moment, and Vertoy has made a mistake and allowed Ashhill through for P11. Ashford will get through for 12th, and there's Lewis Mason trying to catch up as well. They'll be getting a little bit of slipstream as they close and close towards Hawthorns. Look to the inside, and it will be moved done for Mason. Vertoy losing 3 places from a mistake at Surtees.
Yep, absolutely. Nigel Stock trying to get past Cleaver. Ben Brown as well fighting with Stafford once more. Has actually made the move back past.
I think Stock, yeah, he has got past Ben Brown. But Stock nearly got a cutback out of T1 to the inside. This is replay. A little bit wide maybe for Stather. Bad momentum. And that allowed Ben Brown through pretty easily to the final corner.
Absolutely. Lead battle is now closing with Ollie Stone right on the tail of Pfeiffer's for the lead with 3 minutes to go. The battle's on. Sneaky suspicion Ollie may just have to pace over Pfeiffer here for this race win. Don't count your chickens yet. He's still got to make the move and anything can happen. But if I was a betting man, I think I may put a 5 on Stone to take the lead in the next lap or 2.
Yeah, we will have 2.5 minutes as these drivers cross the line. That means 2 more laps. Oliver Stone, Bivaber exit will use a bit of slipstream and pull to the inside as they head down Barbram Straight towards Paddock Hill Bend. And it'll be a relatively easy move for Oliver Stone in the end. You have to say they're on their way to back-to-back victories to make it a clean sweep. Pole and both race victories here at Brands Hatch Grand Prix. There is Ashford has had an issue coming together with Lewis Mason at Westfield.
See how that played out. In we go. Oh, it's just a clip of the tyres, and also an only Brandon car making contact with Lewis Mason.
That was for Toy. Couldn't quite see the number. Is the blue rimmed? It is for Toy, who just the incident happening in front of them would have been quite difficult to avoid.
Have a look. See that on board. Spin there, and just gets caught out. Yeah.
Yes, they come together. It kind of almost looked like Mason on the inside was trying to fend off for Toy, then kind of misjudged their braking, kind of made an accidental dive bomb on Ashford, and yeah, that's how those two came together. Ashford not expecting the move, didn't leave the space for it. That's how collision happened, as we see Ashley having a spin on the exit of 30s, just losing their end, dragging them wide. They go onto the curb, onto the grass a little bit. They didn't go for a full spin, but had to lock the tires up to avoid it. And yeah, we'll have put a bit of a flat spot, certainly damaged them to an extent. But luckily for them, there isn't much of the race left.
No,
As we
they
see them through T1, just in a little bit too quick into Paddock Hill.
Ooh.
And then, ooh, that's not going well for them. Eventually finding the wall. On to the final lap then for Oliver Stone. They've already pulled out a second to Mike Pfeiffer's as they head around the Grand Prix section out of Westfield, down Dingledale into Sheen Curve. Oliver Stone, you'll say it's been relatively easy for them, taking pole position by a little over 4/10 in our qualifying session to win the first race by 12.5 seconds. They'd start 15th in our reverse grid, but that hasn't stopped them from coming through the 25-minute race and taking a second win for this evening. Back-to-back wins, clean sweep of the evening. Nigel Stock still following Matt Cleaver. It would just not be enough. A great battle between the pair of these fighting over P5 as Nigel Stock setting a personal best lap on the final lap, showing how much they were pushing to fight. Ben Brown also setting a personal best as they fought off Peter Stather and will come for P7. Those two having a good battle in the second half of the race after Ben Brown made a mistake at T1. See Ash Hill coming through now as well. Just missing out on the top 10. We'll have to settle for P11.
Really well. Comes to the line, his checkered flag, and they'll think, oh, he's so much better. He has pace, so we saw what pace he did have, but Ash Hill, I'm sure, will be back ready to get going next week for our finale. This is next week after Monday. Jesus, season goes fun. It goes past. I can't even get words out tonight. The season flies when you're having fun. One more week to go. As we just wait for Reese Tarrant. Speaking of flying, the British Airways liveried are going through the final turn, and that, folks, is that for your race this evening.
A frantic start to the sprint race, but it'll calm down. We got some great racing for Oliver Stone to take back-to-back wins here at Brands Hatch. Their third and fourth victories of the season, winning by 1.5 seconds out of Mike Pfeiffer's. That penalty in the first race put them on reverse grid pole. They held on until the final couple of laps. Orgren will take the final podium position in P3. Back-to-back podiums, 2 P3s. So good evening for them. But Tolson will take a good P4 for them. Good result for them. Have Matt Cleaver, who fended off Nigel Stock for P5, and Nigel Stock's settling for P6. A spin on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend would demote Ben Brown to P7, but they would hold off and fight back Peter Stather, who'd have to settle for P8. Sean McGardle will take P9, and Charlie Morgan, after a very difficult opening race with a few spins, managed to keep it clean in our feature race or sprint race, sorry, and will get a top 10 result as reward. Ash Hill will have to sell for P11, head for Toy in 12th, Lewis Mason in 13th, after coming together with Ashford in the closing stages in 14th. Reese Tarrant will finish in 15th. Have Ian Carter got collected in that turn 2 instant. Will be a lap down in 16th. Stuart Page will finish 17th. Jory Shore in 18th. Ashley Collins in 19th. Sophie Ehrman in 20th. Luca Munro in 21st. And Jessica Perry not able to compete this time. Not making the grid for the second race.
And that, folks, is that for our penultimate week of iRacing. Only got one more week to go. 1 more week of our fantastic leagues, not just on iRacing, covering Assetto Corsa and Le Mans Ultimate. Next stream will be on Sunday night for the LMU 1 100 series. I believe they are at Spa.
Yes, Spa for this weekend of the 100 series. Penultimate round. How will the strategy fare? How much fuel saving will be needed? How will the tyres cope? 3 corners like a Rouge, Radion, Blanchemont and Puan. They'll be sure to put some stress. Will we see tyre changes? Make sure to tune in on Sunday to find out. On Monday, we have the start of our final week of season 3 of 2025. That will be at Le Mans for our GT3 festival. 65 minutes around the Circuit de la Sarthe. So come see how our opening GT3 series on the Ultimate ends. Then on Tuesday, we have our JCW Mini World Tour, which is finishing off at Curitiba for an action-packed season. 3 15-minute races, the third being a full reverse grid. A lot of carnage, a lot of great racing throughout the season. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen tonight, make sure you tune in on Tuesday as well. Then on Wednesday, we will also have our final round of our first season of the Sim Hound Academy on Le Mans Ultimate. It was a difficult race at Sebring yesterday, and our less experienced drivers will be tackling the Bahrain Grand Prix circuit for their final round. Under the floodlights, conditions might be a little bit cold, might make it a little bit difficult to keep warmth in those tyres. A little bit slippery, a little bit slidey. Should make for an interesting final round. Before we return, also at the wonderful Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for a final round in the oNiD4 series. A little step away from the British Islands that we're used to for an international round, but it should make for a great finale.
Absolutely. Folks, until then, take care, have a wonderful evening. Only Friday to go. It's the weekend. If you do want to get involved, come and visit us, discord.gg/oNiD Community Racing. Pop that into your web browser. That will take you to the Discord. Come and say hi. Season 4, it's on its way. Stay tuned for announcements. Get signed up for Season 4. And we will hopefully see you in the Discord and out on track. Take care, folks. Good night. Meet you all very, very soon.